Hey guys, happy Friday. So, like I said, today we are working on just kind of reviewing all 5 properties that we've talked about so far. So, properties of exponents, we've talked about 5 of them. And what I would do is just practice one more day today, all of them independently. So, how do we simplify expressions by using properties of exponents? That's going to be our goal. All right, so you guys know how it works. Make sure you guys are taking notes on the video, and at the end of it, you do have a class activity. All right, so let's jump right into it. So let me just talk about these first few right here, right? These are the 5 properties. By the end of today, you guys should be masters at all 5 of these. So product of powers. What is product of powers? Again, that means that whenever you have the same base and you're multiplying, what can you do with the exponents? You simply just add them together. All right, the next one we talked about was power of a power. Again, that means, hey, if you have an exponent getting kicked up to another exponent, what do we have to do? That's just simple multiplying right there. You multiply the 3 times the 2, and we would have gotten 2 to the 6th power. All right, negatives were a little bit tricky. We talked about that yesterday. But the way that we fix, again, we don't like having negative exponents in math. So the way that we fix it is we move their position, right? If you have an exponent, negative exponent that's up top here, we move it to the bottom and it turns positive. And then the reverse is also the same, right? If you have a negative exponent in your denominator, you move it up to the numerator and it turns it into a positive. Again, that's how negative exponents, that was our shortcut. All right. Now the last two here is 0 exponent. So whenever you have anything to the 0 power, that's always going to be equal to 1. Now remember, this is the tricky one where parentheses make a big deal. Who does the 0 belong to? The whole thing because everything's in parentheses, or just one tiny piece of the problem? All right, the last one, quotient of powers. That means that when you are dividing, what do you do with those exponents? You basically just subtract them. So here you see what they did, the 5 minus the 2. All right. So let's jump into actual examples. This is the way I want you guys to try it out. So for product of power, let me explain this. Product of power one more time. When you have the same base and you're multiplying, you just add those exponents. What I want you guys to do is try these 3 problems. All right. When you're ready to go, hit play, and then I'll run through it with you guys. All right. So let's go through it. All right. So the first one, I noticed that I have the same base and I'm multiplying. So all that means is I have to do is I add those exponents. This is going to be a to the 5th power. I had 2 here, I have 3 here. I have a total of 5 a's, a to the 5th power being multiplied together. All right, this next one. Okay, this is the one where I said, hey, let's not look at the whole thing all at once, right? Cover up pieces. Don't get overwhelmed with the whole problem. If I cover up the k's here, 8 times 4, that's easy. What's 8 times 4? That's simply going to be just 32. Okay, then I have to go back in here. Let me uncover that right there. And now let me cover up the 8 and the 4 this time. Let me just work with the variables. K to the 4th times k to the 2nd. That's just like problem number 1. Multiplying, I have the same basis. So what do I do with those exponents? I add them and I get k to the 6th power. All right, so again, these are our final answers here and here, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one here. All right, for the next one, right, it's still multiplication. I know there's parentheses, but there's still technically multiplication in the middle. Okay, now again, take it piece by piece. G's with G's. You're multiplying same bases. What do we do with those exponents? We're going to add them, and we get G to the, what's 7 plus the 2? That gives us 9. All right, move on to the next one. H to the 3rd and H to the 3rd. Same bases, H's, H's. 3 times, sorry, H to the 3rd times H to the 3rd. I add those, it's going to give me H to the 6th power. All right, the last one here was the K's. K to the 5th times k to the what? There's technically a 1 there. So what do I do with the 5 and the 1? We add them and we also get k to the 6th power. So there you guys have it. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Power to a power. So again, don't forget, power to a power. Whenever you have an exponent and then it's also getting kicked up to another exponent, we're going to simply multiply this. So again, pause the video here, try it on your own. When you're ready, hit play. All right. So for the first one, a to the 5th in parentheses all to the 6th power. Power to a power means I multiply those. 5 times 6 is 30. You should have gotten a to the 30th power for number 1. All right, number 2, again, this one's a tricky one because this is the one where we had to add that little extra 1 here. This was 2 to the 1st power, r to the 4th. Remember, the 4 just belongs to the r. That 1 belongs to the 2. So now if I have power to a power, I need to multiply 3 times the 1 here. Well, what's 3 times 1? That's going to give me 3. So this would be 2 to the third. Now let me multiply 3. Don't forget to multiply it also by the 4. So that would give me r to the, what's 3 times 4? That gives me 12. Okay, now here's the thing. If you stop there, you'd be getting a 3 out of 4 because you haven't gone all the way and simplified. 2 to the third power. What does 2 to the third power really mean? That means 2 times 2 times 2. Well, what's 2 times 2? That's 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So I want to rewrite this as 8r to the 12th. This right here, guys, would give you full credit. You simplified completely that 2 to the third power. All right. Now the last one here. Let's go back. Again, don't look at the whole thing all at once. It gets overwhelming if you try it, right? So cover up the bottom. Pretend that wasn't a fraction, right? This looks almost identical to number 1, right? What do I do with power to a power? I'm going to multiply those. So I get w to the 15th. Okay. Let's go back in here and erase it. So let me erase this. Take a second. All right. Now again, imagine the top wasn't there this time. Well, same thing. You got a power to a power. So what do I do with those? I multiply them and I get v to the 20th. Now, should I be subtracting these just like quotient powers? No, I can't. The reason I can't, that's a w, that's a v. Those are different bases. If they were both w's or both v's, then yeah, I would go in and subtract and use quotient of powers. All right, guys. Here we go. Next one. So quotient of powers. We were just talking about that, right? Whenever you have the same bases and you're dividing, what's the rule say you have to do with the exponents? You subtract them. All right, so same thing, guys. Pause the video here. Take a few minutes, try these out. When you're ready to go, hit play. Okay. Number 1, again, this is the basic introduction. We're dividing. We have the same bases, y's and y's. So what's the rule say about those exponents? I'm simply going to subtract them. So 7 minus 4 gives us y to the third power, and there's nothing else I can do with that. Okay, we call it a day. Remember yesterday we expanded 7 y's and then 4 y's, and we crossed them off. You'd be left with just 3. So we say y to the third. All right, let me go on to the next one down here. Okay, again, take it piece by piece, guys. Just look at your x's first. Ignore the y's for a quick minute. Okay, that almost looks like problem number 1. Same deal, right? Same basis, x and x. I need to and I'm dividing, excuse me. I need to subtract those. So what's 12 minus 2? That should have been just 10. Okay, and then we move on and we try again for now the y's. So y to the 30th divided by y to the 20th. Again, same basis, I'm dividing. Let me just subtract those. That's going to be y to the 10th. Now, can I combine x's and y's? Can I add the 10 and 10? No, different bases. We can't do it. So we simply leave them side by side like that. All right, let's move on to the next one. Same deal. Let me start off with the j's here. Okay, now be careful on this one because on this it's saying same basis. I still subtract it, but you should have gotten 4 minus 6, which is going to give us not a 2, but a negative 2. So the first part you should have gotten j to the negative second power. Okay? And then when you went and moved on with the k's, what do we do here? Well, this is k and k, same basis. I'm dividing. So 13 minus 10, 13 minus 10 gives us positive 3. So this is going to give you k to the third power. And again, like I told you guys yesterday, whoops, let me go back here. Okay, I would not give you guys full credit if you got to this point. You'd be getting a 3 out of 4 because what do I still hate about this problem right now is that I have a negative power. Again, that negative, that j to the negative second, I can't leave it like that. Okay, so if I draw my little fraction line, right, where is that negative exponent, the j to the negative second sitting? It's on top, it's in my numerator. So how do we change it to a positive 2? You basically have to move its position. Right now it's on top, so we're going to move it to the bottom, and we're going to make it a positive 2. As soon as I dropped it down, I moved it to the bottom, its opposite side, I turned it into a positive. What about k to the third? Do I have to do anything with that? No, there's no need to move it, no need to do anything. It's just k to the third. We leave it where it was. I leave that up top. So you should have gotten k to the third over j to the second. All right, let's move on to the next one. Negative exponents. All right, we were just actually talking about that on the last problem. Take a minute, right? How do we fix negative exponents? We move their position, okay? If they're on top, we move them to the bottom. If they're on the bottom, we switch them up to the top. All right, take a minute, pause the video, try them out. When you're ready to go, hit play. All right, so let's jump into it. So number one, okay, I don't like that there's k to the negative second and that guy is at the bottom. So I'm forced to move this guy, k to the negative second. I have to move it to its opposite side to make it a positive 2. So we can kick this guy to the top. We make it a positive 2. Now, you could leave it like that, right? K to the positive 2 up top. Some people like to put the placeholder at the bottom of 1. Again, I'll take both of those. You could have left it as k to the second or k to the second over 1 because, again, this is assuming already that there's a 1 underneath it. All right, the next one here. Let's move over to the bottom, okay? And again, what do I hate about this one right now? Okay, I'm not worried about the k to the 7th part. That's fine. That's a positive. I can't combine it with anything else. What's bugging me is that I have h to the negative 6. Again, and this time it's on top, so where do I have to move it? I have to drop it down below, and it turns into a positive 6. K to the 7th, there was no need to move it, so we're going to leave it exactly where it was up top, and that is it. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's go with the u's, right? Don't look at the whole problem all at once. Should have looked at the u's, and we should have subtracted, right? We're dividing. We're using the quotient rule. 7 minus the 3 gives us positive 4. So this should have been u to the positive 4th power. And then when we went to go look at the v's, be careful with this one. It's 2 minus 11. So 2 minus 11, what is that going to give us? Negative 9. Okay, so you get v to the negative 9th power. And again, this almost looks like this last one we just finished doing. I can't not stop there. I can't just leave it like that because this bugs me. What's bugging me is that there is a negative exponent. Again, I want to get rid of that negative, the negative sign, and I turn it into a positive. Right now, again, both of those are sitting up top. Do I have to move u to the 4th? No, that guy's going to stay up top. No need to move it. But v to the negative 9 gets kicked down to the bottom, and it turns into a positive. All right, guys. Last one here, 0 power. Okay, take a second, pause the video, try them out. When you're ready to go, hit play. Okay, so for this one, number 1, 6 to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. Okay, move on to the next one. Now, this one here is the tricky one, right? Who does the 0 belong to? Not the whole thing. It's not in parentheses. Not the entire problem is in parentheses. The 0 only belongs to the x. So the x, this guy right here in red that I circled, that's the guy that turns into a 1. Now again, when I drop down to 6, I'm not writing 61 here. What was happening between the 6 and the x? We were multiplying. So what is 6 times 1? 6. And that's it. Okay. Now notice the difference, right? This third one right here, everything was in parentheses. So who does the 0 belong to? Back here, the 0 only belonged to the x. Here it belongs to both of these, the 6 and the x, because it's in parentheses. So I don't care. This entire problem to the 0 power is going to be equal to 1. All right, last one here. So I am dividing, right? These are pretty large numbers. X to the 3,600 divided by x to the 3,600. So what do I do with those exponents? I am going to subtract them. What's 3,600 minus 3,600? That gives you 0. And again, we can't stop there. We know what x to the 0 is. What's anything to the 0 power? It's going to be 1. All right, guys, here's your class activities. So again, 9 problems. When you are done, okay, go to my sub. My sub has the answer keys. Check with them. Everything's perfect. Please make sure you guys turn that into the inbox, all right? If something's wrong, go back and fix it, all right? I want to make sure you guys have this down so that we're successful for the next unit, all right? You're going to need these little prereq skills to be successful in the next one. All right, so again, take a second, try that out. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend, guys.